Hey, what's up, guys? Just want to give an update on the Cinco de Mayo event that I'm going to be having here at my home. It has turned into a 1 year anniversary podcast episode that will be highly produced, going to have a local director be the producer of it. We're going to be having it here in my pool room, going to be shooting some pool, having some drinks, hanging out. So the folks that are going to be joining me for this 1 year anniversary episode are going to be Buck Johnson from the Counterflow podcast, Matt Erickson from the King Pilled podcast, Andrew from Property Liberty podcast, and Kyle Anslone from the Conflicts of Interest podcast. We're all going to be hanging out, well fed, of course. I'm going to be a host for my homies here. And for anybody that wants to come in and sit in on the event and also stay for the evening and hang out with all the podcasters that I just said, especially if you jam some of their content, be sure to contact me at loslibertinos210@gmail.com and get information on how you can get a ticket to sit in on the episode and hang out with us for the evening. It'll be a good, fun event, and I hope to hear from you. Peace. Puro chingazos and fire. Welcome, everyone, to Los Libertinos podcast. I am your host, Carlos Abelard, and this is Chingazos and Fire episode number 37. Our guest today is John Polar Bear Gonzalez. He is a stand-up comedian, podcaster, and a comedy skit specialist who has about 120K followers on Instagram, almost 500,000 on Facebook, and over 1.2 million followers on TikTok. I saw him perform this past weekend here at the Upstage Comedy Lounge, and it was hilarious. And our dates, our wives enjoyed the show a lot, and we kept on partying all night because you set the pace for the evening, man. It was great. Thank you for coming on Los Libertinos.
Badass, man. Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, dude. Thanks for coming out to the show. I'm glad you brought your wives. Glad we could set the pace. Hope we preheated the oven for you. So when you got home, you did your thing. So.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. It was definitely one of those nights. Cool, man.
Nice.
So for anybody that doesn't know who you are or might have not seen some of your skits online, can you kind of give a background into born and raised and kind of like the short end story of how you kind of got to where you're at right now?
Yeah, for sure, man. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. A lot of y'all can't tell just by looking at me, but my last name is Gonzalez, as you heard. And I grew up half white, half Hispanic. And we would always have these get-togethers, and we go on my dad's side of the family, and it'd be completely different from my mom's side of the family. And I started doing stand-up comedy in 2011. And like 3 months in, I started writing jokes about this. And I was doing the jokes for years. And then during the pandemic, when that happened, I started I was going really hard and doing skits like 3 a day, every day, and like nothing was hitting. And I was putting in so much time and effort. And I was like, damn, all right, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to turn one of my jokes of being half white, half Hispanic into a skit form. And I did. And that one took off. And everybody was like, we want more of this. And I was like, seriously? Like all of this stuff I've been doing like these past 5 years of doing skits and everything, y'all want just my life of what I've known and what I've been talking about for almost 10 years? So, that happened, and then I found out so many people could relate to being half white, half Hispanic, and then it just took off from there and completely changed my life.
Yeah, perfect. And reaching out to you when I did, because I had been checking out some of your skits, and they've been coming out on my, on my phone for like probably about half a year. And when you came on that you were gonna come to San Antonio, I told my wife, and she's like, yeah, let's go. And then I reached out to you, and I kind of mentioned to you that
I wanted to kind of talk about the parallel worlds that you play in, and that is that the white and the Hispanic side, and that how I'm kind of doing the same thing because I'm playing in these two worlds of like libertarianism and my Latino side.
Right.
And in the same way, although I'm not a comedian, I tend to use a little bit of like humor and the comedy side and laughter kind of to break down the stereotypes and maybe to unite the two sides a little bit. But in your Hispanic and white side, like I said, you play that up on your skits. But what were some of the core values on each side that were similar in nature that you still carry from both sides with you to this day?
Probably just the whole thing of family coming together, during the holidays. We were always very tight knit on both sides. And when we got together, everybody just loved and like had a good time. We would laugh, we would do stuff. And it was different, like in a sense, because like on my white side, there was no drinking or cursing or gambling. And on my Latino side, it was straight drinking and, cursing whatever you want to. My dad called me a culero. You heard about that at the show. Um, Gambling, sometimes when we got older, we started gambling more. But it was just always the core value of just having family around and loving one another and loving each other and learning that blood is thicker than water, and that's just kind of stuck with me throughout like all my years. And I love both sides of my family, and I crack jokes on my skits about both of them, and they both love it. So it's cool, man. It's fun.
Yeah, so I'm 38, and I believe you said you're 36 at the
Yeah,
show, right? Okay,
yeah,
so we're
36.
similar in age, and
Hmm.
so growing up, I didn't have the white and Hispanic divide, but I did have the class divide. So like when I would go to Mexico, I knew that we had more than my primos in Mexico. But living here, I knew that all my neighbors and stuff had cable and had different things that I didn't have growing up. Did you see a little bit of the class divide amongst your white and Hispanic, or was it mostly just generic cereal brands that were the main divide?
No, there was definitely like a class divide too. That's the thing that's crazy. Is like my grandma, she knew how to feed like the whole family. Like she could feed, like she did it her whole life growing up. Like my dad had four brothers and three sisters, so she had eight kids, and she would basically like grab a chicken and make it for everybody. Like one chicken, like one whole chicken was good for the whole family. And I know that like on my mom's side of the family, they did the same thing, but we always had that one aunt or uncle on my mom's side of the family, or two aunt or uncles on the mom's side of the family that were doing well enough to like splurge and like make stuff happen.
Mm.
And on my dad's side, we never suffered. We never had anything to where like we were struggling or anything like that. We always had enough, but it's because my grandma would always make sure that there was enough, so you wouldn't actually see it, you wouldn't know it, but when you grow older and you look back on it, you're like, damn, grandma was actually really good at making things stretch.
Yeah, so she was able to minimize the effect of the differences, but simply by cooking, right?
Being conservative, being like my grandma would come and visit us and she would stay with us for like a weekend. And my grandma and my mom, like they were like real tight. They were close, man. Because my papa on my mom's side didn't like that my mom was dating my dad because of the
Mm.
color. He was
Yeah.
Mexican. You know what I'm saying? His last name was Gonzalez. My papa did not like that. Like he didn't want it at all. My dad went to go pick up my mom once. My papa came out with a shotgun and shot it up in the air
Oh
when they were
shit!
driving off. Like
It was
he
like
was he
that.
was
It was
like,
like that.
yeah, yeah. But the funny thing is like when my parents got together and my papa noticed, like before my papa passed, him and my dad were like best friends. So
Oh,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
it's amazing to see how like love can like change somebody's mind and like end racism. I love seeing that. But yeah, man, like my grandma would come over for a weekend or a week or whatever, and anytime she would come over, you would see like little thing. I don't care if it was like just a small piece of garlic like that. She would wrap it up in foil and she'd put it in the fridge. So anytime she came over, we'd have little things wrapped in foil of everything that she would use because she was just like that. It was like in her nature.
Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. Yeah, I had some of the like similarities of like our grandmas and even like my mom and all that in trying to I like my mom. Yeah, well, you know all this stuff. Like, I mean, they'll put all kinds of stuff in containers forever, and you think that there's actual butter in there, but there's not. And
Mhm.
it's. I've been trying to tell my mom, like, mom, just like just use some paper plates. It's not a big deal. Like, nobody's stop washing plates and stuff. Nah, it's puro cancer. All you're eating is cancer. They just talk like
Yeah.
it's just funny stuff. It's just cultural stuff. But in your show though, it seemed like that part of what you do on social media, if I had to guess, maybe like 15, 20 minutes of it, and the rest of it was kind of like, I don't know, I guess your experiences in life more than your experience in that. Um, what um uh, what sets the pace for you in your comedy? Like, what inspires you? I know, like, what happens in your life, and you have your nature to turn it into it, like, it's being funny. But like, do you like walk in this life looking for what is funny, or does like funny come to you and then you manifest it through your show?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, the jokes I tell on stage, it's like almost like about 90% of them are true. Some of them are kind of like twisted up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But like 90 to 95% completely true. And the reason, like you mentioned, like 15 to 20 minutes is family. And the last of it is like I get raunchy, like I get sexual. And it's funny because like when I grew up, me and my dad would always watch this comedian named Robert Schimmel. And he was just super raunchy, super raunchy. And my mom hated that we watched that show because my mom's like super like conservative, like her family, no cursing, all that stuff. So she hated that my dad and I would watch this comedy special of this dude talking about. Can we cuss on here or what?
Yeah, yeah, Dale
Okay,
Shine,
this
Dale
dude.
Shine.
All right, cool. This dude talking about like coming on tits and like getting girls pregnant and like all of this stuff, right? So um I really adapted to that, and that had a really big influence on my comedy. And when I went viral on TikTok, it was all family oriented. And when I started doing shows, I was like, man, dude, I don't know. I might have to clean my act up. I don't know if I can do what I want. But I talked to so many people and they're like, look, just do what you do and love what you do. Look at Bob Saget. Like Bob Saget was like the raunchiest person on stage, but he was family oriented everywhere else on TV. And when I heard that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. And that's all I've done. And there's some people that, you know, majority of the people, like legit, like probably 97% of the people love it. They come through like, man, we did not know what to expect. You were amazing. You were funny. You always have those other people that really won't say anything, but you'll hear it from other people's ears. Like there was somebody behind us, like, this is not what was on TikTok. And, he was real
Mm.
raunchy and I didn't like it. And whatever, that's fine. At the end of the day, I want to love what I do and be happy with what I do. And I always know there's going to be people who don't like what I do, and that's fine. It's cool with me.
Don't forget to visit our sponsor, palomaverdecbd.com. It is a family-run business that my wife and I run out of our home. We've had it for a little over 2 years, and the last year we have been strictly an online business. We've had our struggles, but we've persevered, and we have also recently added some new products to our line. Of course, you know that we have all the edibles, the tinctures, all the salves, and creams, sports creams, and some of the pet products. But we've added this time some, bath bombs, 25 milligrams each. There's 4 in this bottle. Be sure to take care of your lady, or you could take care of yourself if you're that kind of vato, that's cool too. And also some massage oil, once again, to take care of your lady or yourself if you're that kind of vato. That's okay too. And when we first started the business, if any of you guys are aware, it was meant to help our fathers out. And at that time, the stigma behind cannabis products was still around here in our culture. Our fathers weren't really up to it, but we kind of told them that there was no psychoactive effects or any THC in the product. And then they have been users of it, and they've gotten a lot of benefits from it. But we've also listened to customers, and many of them have mentioned that they'd like us to bring in a full spectrum product because there are some extra benefits sometimes through the entourage effect if you have some of the THC in it. So we have a new full spectrum tincture, 2250 milligram tincture bottle. So you can be sure to check that out if you're trying to get some of that, plus all the other products that we have. So visit palomaverdecbd.com, use the promo code Chingazos at checkout, CHINGASOS, for 20% off anything that you purchase, free shipping. So be sure to check it out. And I appreciate, Vanessa and I appreciate any of your support. Get your products, take care of your body and mind, and peace.
Yeah, so you were talking about like those people, and like so you've been at this comedy game for I guess close to 10 years, probably something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so like you just sold this past weekend out, so that's 4 shows at Upstage Comedy Lounge, and I believe he said it was close to like 600 people. I mean, that's the, those numbers to me, that sounds pretty badass. And can you kind of talk about the history of your struggles to get to this point, and then also intertwine there any positive like mentorship or club owners that gave you advice, and like anything that's like on that end, on the positive side?
Yeah, man. So basically, I've struggled so much in this comedy thing. Like there was many times I've almost gave up. I was like almost done with it. I'm over it. And I had comedian friends who was like, don't, just keep at it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And I mean, literally, this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I had a gig in Phoenix. Actually, it was like 2 years ago. I had a gig in Phoenix. This is before the pandemic. This is before everything. And we were we went to this gig and it was at a bar, and I made like a flyer for it. And I told my buddy, I was like, hey, give him the flyer, let him know what's up. And because he told me that it was a gay bar. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to make the flyer gay friendly, put it up there, good advertising, good marketing, all that stuff. So like I like did a thing with my shirt off and I was like laying on the beach like that, hyped it up. The promoter who was booking us didn't even post any flyers at the gig. When we got to the gig, we found out that it was a lesbian bar. So the whole laying in the beach would have done nothing anyways. And that show literally had 12 people in the audience. And 9 of them came from my buddy, 3 of them came from me. And we lost so much money with like gas. We drove out there. So gas, driving out there, the hotel room, driving back. And, there was just always those shows. There were shows that, I mean, my cousins were there at the late show on Saturday. And they even told me, because the last show they went to here in Austin, and that was like probably 2.5 years ago. And I think there was like maybe 20 people to 30 people in the audience. And they're like, man, cuz like we're real proud of you, dude, because this is such a big improvement from where you were, And there were so many times that I wanted to give up, but just something in me like wouldn't let me. And I quit my job in March of 2019 to pursue it full time. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just kind of took the leap of faith and let's see how long I'm going to last. And when I quit my job in March of 2019, December of 2019, that's when it started like getting real dark, dude, like super dark. Like I've never thought about killing myself, but at that point, like there were thoughts, and I would never act on that. Like I would never do that because I'm just not that person. But just the thought in my mind of like seeing a gun and being like, man, I can grab that and pull the trigger and it'll be over. That scared the hell out of me. Right. So, I mean, at that point, I didn't know what to do. And I just like started getting like real close to God and started like really getting like more spiritual and kind of like grounded and started moving forward. And that's the thing, man, is like God never let me fall. He would let me get like to the very, very bottom of it. Like when I had a show in Dallas in February of 2020, right before the pandemic, I had I think it was $4.40 in my bank account. And I had a show in Dallas. And I had to go to Dallas, and I was getting like $150 to headline there and then sell merch. And luckily I sold $300 in merch. I got the $150. And so from $4.40 in my bank account one day to $450 the next day when I laid down. I remember laying down at that Airbnb and just crying
Yeah,
because
man.
it was just like, like this is why I do what I do, and God provided it just enough for me to get by. Like He tested me, you know. And so having that and just keeping going. And then before the pandemic, I was going to be an opener on a nationwide tour for Raymond Norta, and that whole tour it was like 40 to 50 cities. I was going to make 15 grand like in 2 months. It was the most I was ever going to make doing comedy. Pandemic happened, got canceled. I got frustrated, I got flustered, and I calmed myself down. And I was like, you know what, God, you did this for a reason. I asked for your will to be done, and I'm just going to keep grinding it out and keep doing it. So whatever your will is, I'm going to do. And then something like came to me of like, during this pandemic, it's going to be such a big moment for everybody's lives that they are always going to remember the pandemic and what they were doing and what happened and everything. Like my big moment was 9/11. I remember exactly what I was doing on that day. Remember where I went, remember what happened. I bought the Jay-Z Blueprint CD at Target. And I remember coming out and being like, oh man, like I don't like, what if something falls? You know, like I remember vividly what I was doing. So in my mind, I was like, what I want to do for the pandemic, I want to make everybody laugh. That's all I want to do. I want to spread laughter. So I'm going to do skits. I'm going to do whatever I can. I just grinded it out and kept working. And then coming out of the pandemic, my life was completely changed, dude. And I give all the glory to God, dude, because He's the one that guided me and directed me.
Man, that's beautiful to hear. Yeah, I'm not very religious, but a lot of times in a lot of interviews, I do hear about how, when you have God, you could get to the edge, and somehow they feel the energy of God to bring them out of it. And like I said, I'm not very religious, but it always sounds like nice music. It's like
Yeah.
it's nice, man. It's nice to hear. So yeah,
And that's
man.
fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like
Go ahead.
I don't think anybody really has to be religious. Like I'm not that person that's like gonna shove God down your throat. Like, no, you gotta believe. Like that's not me. Because everybody has their own journey, you know? And I truly believe that. And for me, God is what works for me. And I just kind of keep on the path. And I'm far from perfect. I mean, you hear my acts, you hear me, like I sin constantly, bro. But for whatever reason, God keeps blessing me and I just stay next to Him and keep moving forward, man.
Perfect. And so this is kind of like a social commentary, political kind of show. So I couldn't let you go without asking a little bit of like since like we said that we're similar in age. So I didn't grow. I grew up like also going to like in Nuevo Laredo. We would go to like these. I don't even know what they were called, like La Ferias or something. And basically they were like the Mexican comedy shows. And I don't know if my parents knew that I mean, I could kind of grasp what these like the Mexican stuff is like pretty raunchy too, and I just remember kind of like okay, so that was kind of my upbringing in comedy. So that stuff right now could not play at all, I think, right now, but maybe it can. So like my question to you is kind of like, how have you been navigating these waters with like with like the cancel culture vibe that's going on, or do you just raw dog it and dale shine all the way through, or do you have to kind of tiptoe around sometimes where you think like, man, is it really worth even going there?
Yeah, I mean that's the cancel culture I can't stand, dude, because I'm a comedian, you know. So I think that a joke is a joke and that people shouldn't try and cancel a comedian because they're literally all jokes. Like it's just for fun, you know? But that being said, I don't like I tiptoe the line, you know. But I think personally, like it's just it's a weird world we live in right now, dude. Like perfect example is when I started doing my stuff with like the half white, half Hispanic stuff, I had the Latinx community come after me, like pretty hardcore. Like a lot of people like started reaching out to me because they found out that my Hispanic side, and I was never hiding it. I mean, I have the Spain crest like on here, you know what I'm saying? My Hispanic side, I'm Spanish. Like that's what it is. But growing up in South Texas, you know, being from Laredo, that it's a Mexican culture, bro. You're engulfed in it. So my whole life, up until I was 12 years old, I thought I was half Mexican. And then my grandma heard us once and she stopped us and she told us what we actually were and told us our background and our roots. But these are my truths. I'm never gonna change who I am. And they came after me, they're like, you're benefiting off of the Mexican culture, you're getting money from the Mexican culture, you're not even Mexican, you shouldn't do this, don't do this, and And I was like, look, man, like this is me. These are my truth. This is how I was raised. I'm not gonna stop being who I am because your little punk ass feelings are hurt. Like that's just not me. Like I'm always gonna be me and I'm always gonna do me. You want to go back, you want to find receipts, by all means, go back and find receipts. You're more than welcome to. But the cancel culture, I'm not a fan of it. And I know a lot of people like are tired of it. And that's the thing that's beautiful about it is that I feel like it's starting to kind of die down a little bit. Why? Because they cancel somebody and then they're canceled. You can't do nothing. Fuck you. You can't do nothing. And then after a while, they see somebody else like, oh, no, 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 you're canceled. You're canceled. And then they forget about who they canceled. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, Tony Hinchcliffe was canceled for that, but he's still doing shows at the Vulcan. He's still doing everything that he's supposed to do. Um, Other people, I mean, you cancel people like, okay, perfect example. Kevin Spacey was canceled, but nothing happened to him. He's not doing movies. He's set. He doesn't give a shit. Do I agree with what the fuck he did? Hell no. Hell no. That's gross. That's dirty. No, I don't agree with it at all. But the cancel culture, they don't hold a lot of weight because they hone in on one person and then they're almost like they have ADHD. Like, boom, fuck you, you're canceled, you're canceled. Something else happens, they look over here. No, no, you know, you're canceled. And they just, whatever, we're not worried about this guy. So
Yeah,
it's,
I never thought of it that way. That the weight they carry it's fast and gone. Like that's like it goes in and it goes out. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I guess so. Or they have too many targets that they've the value of it is like diminished. I guess right.
yeah.
It doesn't even like what's the point of that? Yeah, I didn't think about it in that way. So we're one quarter of the year in, and so what are your plans for the year, and what is one of the biggest goals you'd like to achieve this year?
My biggest goal is to shoot my comedy special. So that's my plan for the end of the year. I'm going to shoot a comedy special and try and pitch it to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all these bigger streaming companies. And I'm doing a whole nationwide tour. It'll be called the Hispanic Causing Panic Tour. And we're going to hit everywhere in the nation, dude. Like we're doing I mean, 50 cities in like 4 months. So it's gonna be great, dude. I can't wait. And I'm getting the studio off the ground, still building it and everything. Like this is kind of the mural I have right there. And then I can like bring you over here. I have like a little shelf and everything. And if you look over here, like curtains and everything. So I need to get this off the ground and just keep making content, dude. I'm living with my older brother. But I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna get my own spot, and when I do, that's when like new skits and new content, new everything's gonna start coming out, and then things will kind of just start kind of rolling in rotation. But right now, it's the groundwork, you know. And I'm really big on not getting too comfortable. I don't like being comfortable. I do, of course, you know, everybody does. But when I'm uncomfortable, I know that I'm heading the right direction. And right now, I'm uncomfortable as fuck. Like I'm not gonna lie, like building this from the ground up, trying to get out and get my own house and getting ready for the nationwide tour. Next year, since I'm doing a comedy special, I'm going to have to write a new hour of material. So that means that I'm going to have to start writing and really working on new stuff. I'll start featuring for bigger names, bigger acts. And that's when I'll start working on the new material. And that is nerve wracking because when I have my following who comes to my show, they love me. So I could say whatever I want to, and they're in the palm of my hand because they're watching me and they love me. When I'm with somebody else, I'm featuring for somebody else for the weekend,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
working not only on the polished material that I have, but new jokes. It could go bad real fast. So it's just, but I mean, that's my whole life, dude. Being a comedian, you learn to. We call it if you bomb on stage, we call it eating a bag of dicks. I'm used to eating a bag of dicks, bro. So I mean, let's just do what we do, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, not awesome, but yeah, no, that's the way it goes. Yeah, well, I'd like to just finish up by saying that I like your attitude on the cancel culture part because to me, like comedians are at the front lines of what can be said in our culture, you know. So the comedy club, it's like its own realm of like, hey, it's kind of like if you want to play, like it's a safe space to say whatever you want. And you know, for you guys to do what you do, it's important, I think, for our society because people that hear those jokes, they'll take them to Monday and Tuesday to work, and kind of they'll use a little bit of it, and hopefully they'll make some other people smile and laugh. Some of them might bomb and eat a bag of dicks, like you said, but that's the way it goes. But can you please kind of plug in where people can reach you at, and where they can see where your next shows are going to be at here in the future?
Yeah, for sure. So you can go to polarbearcomedy.net. I'll have all my tour dates on there. The nationwide tour isn't completely locked in yet. We're still locking in dates, but as we get them, we'll put them up there. But if you just go to polarbearcomedy.net, a thing will pop up. If you put your email there and subscribe, I'm sending out a mass email to everybody who subscribes, let them know where I'm going to be at. You can follow me on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube under Polar Bear Comedy, and on Instagram, it's the Polar Bear Comedy, THE Polar Bear Comedy. And yeah, man, just follow me, keep up with me, and thank you for supporting the ones who do support me and love me. Thank you so much. And if you want some laughs, hop on the page. But if you're cancel culture, go eat a dick.
Fair enough. Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully we'll do it again on another time when you're in town here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for coming out, dude. It was a lot of fun. The show was fun. Thanks for having me on, and it was great, man.
Cool, man. Peace.
All right, brother. Take it easy.